Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Connecticut Department of Transportation and the town of Andover, I would like to welcome you all for attending this public informational meeting for State Project number 1-106, replacement of bridge number 04583, located on Bunker Hill Road over the Hop River in the town of Andover. My name is Preeti Bardwaj, and I am the project manager assigned to this project. We appreciate your willingness to participate in this forum virtually, and we hope that you find this meeting both interesting and informative. I will now explain some of the goals and agenda for tonight's meeting. I will explain how you will be able to interact with the project team. I will then explain how this project is being funded in the Federal Local Bridge DMS program. We will also be showing you some contact information for the town of Andover. I will then be introducing the project design team. This will then be followed by a technical presentation of the design, which includes the condition, the recommended design solution, which has progressed to a 30% design completion. And lastly, we will have a live question and answer session. There are three means of how you will be able to communicate with the project team. By email, which is dot-flbp@ct.gov, and I will also spell that out. It is dot-flbp@ct.gov. You can also phone in, and that phone number is 860-944-1111. Again, the number is 860-944-1111. You can also use that chat function on the MS Teams live event chat. Here you can ask a question by clicking on the little question mark which shows Q&A. This will bring up your live Q&A field. Select the Ask a Question button at the bottom right screen and a field will pop up. And you can type your question and hit either Enter with a little arrow button to send. You can also check the bottom button and post your question anonymously if you prefer. There will be a slight delay, but eventually your question will appear in the featured section with all other questions asked tonight. The project email, phone, and chat will be screened by the project team during the Q&A session, and the questions asked by any of these methods will be posted to the MS Teams Q&A chat window. The questions will then be asked out loud for the project team to answer. You can ask questions at any time during the presentation, but we will answer the questions during the live Q&A session that follows. We also have a project webpage link where the recording of tonight's entire presentation, including the Q&A session, is stored. The webpage will also contain the same information that I have previously explained on how to provide comments and ask questions. And that project webpage link is portal.ct.gov/DOT Andover 1-106. And I will also spell that out. It is portal.ct.gov/DOT Andover 1-106. And lastly, please remember that you will have until April 26, 2022 to ask any additional questions or if you have any other comments. So if you think of any other questions or comments after tonight's meeting, you will have until April 26th to do so. We would greatly appreciate it if you would fill out a brief survey the department has shown on the link below. This will help us improve these meetings going forward. Both the links to the survey and civil rights flyer are located on the previously mentioned project webpage. I would also like to state, as part of the Title VI Civil Rights Act, that no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. I will now explain how this project is being funded. This is a town-owned bridge and is being funded under the department's federal local bridge program. Traditionally in this program, the town selects a designer, and because federal funds are involved, the department is considered to be stewards of those federal funds. The funding is essentially 80% federal and 20% town for the design, rights-of-way, and construction phases of the project. However, this project will be funded under the department's DMS, or Design Managed by the State program. In this program, it will be the department who will be performing the design on behalf of the municipality, utilizing our consultant liaison engineers, who are Close Jensen and Miller. CJM has completed the 30% preliminary design, and it will be brought to final design completion by one of our pre-selected task-based designers. In addition, it will now be funded with 80% federal and 20% state funds for the design phase only. So the entire design phase is at zero cost to the town of Andover. Although the preliminary design was performed by the department, it was in full coordination with the town of Andover. We held several meetings and worked diligently together to incorporate both the town's comments and concerns. The initiative behind the DMS program was to expedite design delivery and bring these projects to construction quicker and keep our municipal bridges in a state of good repair. The DMS program is utilizing your state and municipal dollars both efficiently and effectively. The next slide has the town contact information. I would now like to introduce the project team. I am Preeti Bardwaj, Project Manager. To my left are Mr. Bart Sweeney, Division Chief of Bridges, and Mr. Lou Baccio, Principal Engineer. To my right is Mr. James Barrows, Project Engineer. We also have Mr. Dennis McDonald, our Rights-of-Way Coordinator. The consultant liaison engineers are Close Jensen and Miller, and from CJM we have Mr. Mike Brady, Project Manager, and Mr. Chris Zabidio, Project Engineer. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost ready to present our technical portion of the presentation, and you will be hearing a lot of bridge lingo throughout the presentation. Therefore, I am about to give you a 2-minute crash course on some of the structural components on a bridge and the numerical condition rating system assigned on a bridge. On the diagram shown, the deck is the riding surface of the bridge. The parapets, or sometimes bridges can also have an open rail system, help prevent errant vehicles from going off the bridge. The beams, or the girders, are the supporting structural elements on a bridge and are designed to support vehicular loads, the self-weight of the bridge, and also any environmental loads, such as wind, seismic, etc. The parapets, the deck, and the beams make up what is known as the superstructure on a bridge. The abutments and wing walls are the end supports on the bridge, and the piers, if there are any, are the intermediate supports. The abutments, wing walls, and piers make up what is known as the substructure on a bridge. The substructure not only supports the superstructure, but also helps in transmitting loads from the superstructure down to the bridge foundations. All state bridges and town bridges over 20 feet in length are inspected every 2 years by the department's Bridge Safety and Evaluation Unit and are assigned a condition rating on the major structural elements on a scale of 1 through 9. 9 is excellent condition, and 1 is imminent failure condition. When a major bridge element reaches a 4, or poor condition, that is when we start to initiate a project to address these structural deficiencies. We will now go over some terminology explaining the deterioration on a bridge, and after that, Mr. Chris Sabidio from Close Jensen and Miller will go over the technical portion of the presentation.
Thank you. I am James Barrows with the Connecticut Department of Transportation, and I would like to quickly go over some terminology that you may hear during the presentation to describe concrete deterioration. The first term is efflorescence. You can see from the picture on the top left, this white mineral buildup on the surface of the concrete. This is due to water entering into the small voids within the concrete, and as it evaporates, it leaves that salt deposit, which has that white appearance. In the top middle, we have honeycombing. For those of you that don't know, concrete is primarily made up of three components. You have your coarse aggregate, which includes rocks and stones. You have a finer material, which is your sand and cementous material, and then you have water. Typically, your cementous material fills the voids, the small voids within all the coarse aggregate. For honeycombing, that finer material isn't able to make it into all the voids, leaving air pockets within the concrete and just the coarse material, which you can see here. On the top right, we have scaling. Scaling is the loss of surface mortar within the concrete. This is normally due to environmental factors like water getting within the voids and during the freeze-thaw cycle expanding and popping off that surface layer of mortar. In the bottom left, we have map cracking. This is sometimes referred to as pattern cracking or alligator cracking. This cracking occurs due to poor concrete curing and handling. And on the bottom right, we have spalling. Spalling is due to water getting within the voids of the concrete and causing deterioration and rust on the rebar. As the rebar starts to rust, it expands, and since there is nowhere to go, it pops the concrete off of the rebar, leaving just the exposed rebar and concrete within the middle area. And that covers the terminology that you will hear for concrete deterioration. Next up, we'll be going into the technical portion of this presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. This project is bridge number 04583, Bunker Hill Road over Hop River. It is located 0.1 miles to the east of Route 6 and is classified a rural local road. As you can see in these aerial photographs, this is a rural, residential, and an agricultural area. Existing conditions. This structure is a three-barreled culvert built in 1960 and rehabilitated in 1988 when the third barrel was added. It has reinforced concrete head walls and wing walls, was backfilled with locally sourced gravel to grade. It has a total structure length of 57 feet while having a curb-to-curb width that varies from 27 feet to 31 feet at the east end, where the road widens to accommodate the pull-off access to the river. The bridge handles approximately 330 vehicles per day, has a dry hydrant for fire department use, and does not have sidewalks. Utility conditions. Overhead utilities span the river on the south side, the downstream side, and the poles nearest the bridge have support wires spanning the road at each end. There are no underground utilities other than the dry hydrant to the southeast. Deck condition. Decks for culverts aren't rated. However, this structure suffered a deck collapse due to sinkholes created by washouts from several heavy rains last summer. These washouts were created by the perforations in the steel barrels of the culvert. The town effected temporary repairs to reopen the road and is currently in satisfactory condition. The approaches exhibit moderate wear and cracking. Approaches are rated 6, satisfactory. Deck repair. The photo in the upper left is a view of the space between the middle and eastern barrels after the collapsed pavement was removed. The photo to the upper right shows the filter fabric and stone fill. The photo in the lower left shows a layer of concrete fill, and the photo on the lower right shows the layer of gravel and base course of pavement. Approach condition. As previously mentioned, the approach is rated a 6, satisfactory. To elaborate on what was previously stated, the west approach protective barrier is wood posts and wire. However, the wire has become loose. The east approach has metal beam railing with minor dents and wear. The east approach carries a super elevation into the bridge, creating a heavy cross slope on the deck. We propose to remove this in favor of a normal crown on the road. Culvert condition, rated 3, serious. The culvert's steel barrels have become perforated by rusting through, mostly along the normal flow level and the bottom plates. These perforations allowed the gravel fill between and above the steel barrels to wash out during the heavy rains and accompanying flooding last summer, leading to the deck failure. The bridge was repaired and is currently stable. The head walls exhibit cracking, spalls, and some delamination. Culvert condition photos. The photo to the upper left shows a perforation in a bottom plate, as does the upper right photo. The lower left shows smaller holes along the low water line, and the lower right photo shows water at the bottom of one of the cleaned out sinkholes prior to repairs. This is the proposed elevation view. It shows what the bridge will look like from the side, in this case, the south side. Due to the deteriorating conditions of the culverts, it qualifies for replacement. The proposed replacement is a new clear span structure comprised of concrete box beam superstructure that is supported by reinforced concrete abutments founded on piles to bedrock. In this slide, the box beams are red, abutments and concrete shear slab is orange, bridge rail system is yellow, concrete end blocks are magenta, and the piles are brown, as is the reconstructed stream bed. Plan view. We intend to replace the culvert with a new bridge in the same location. In this view, the new bridge is orange, the new approaches are in yellow, and the abutments with wing wells are magenta. The eastern construction limit is extended out to allow removal of the super elevation we mentioned earlier. Cross section. This is the cross section of the proposed bridge. A cross section is what the structure looks like if you could cut it in half across the width. In this slide, the concrete box beam superstructure is red, the new crash-tested bridge rail system is yellow, the shear slab is gray, and the bituminous overlay is black. You can also see we propose a normal crown to the road surface, with 12-foot travel lanes and 3.5-foot shoulders on each side to match the average approach width. These two photos are recent examples of this type of structure. The bridge on the left is in Cheshire, and the bridge on the right is in Marlborough. Proposed profile. A profile is like a cross-section except cut the long way through the bridge. It is often drawn at an exaggerated vertical scale to accentuate the elevation, to make it easier to see what the ground is doing, as we do here. We are holding very closely to the existing ground profile. The proposed bridge is shown in orange, and the proposed ground grade is red. Detour. The road in the vicinity of the project will be closed, and traffic will be detoured onto state and local roads. The detour is approximately 5.4 miles long and 11 minutes travel time. We expect it to last 6 to 8 months. The detour route will be Bunker Hill Road, shown in blue, Parker Bridge Road, shown as green, and Route 6, also known as the Jonathan Trumbull Highway and Willimantic Road, shown as orange. Emergency services and school buses will be coordinated with the appropriate municipal officials. This is the proposed right-of-way plan. Temporary construction easements are needed for construction activities outside of the road right-of-way, such as relocating the overhead utilities and constructing the abutments. These easements are shown here outlined in red dashed lines. The street right-of-way line is shown as magenta. The existing pavement is shown as gray. Temporary easement in green is on the Hutchinson property. The one shown in yellow is on the Russell parcel, and the orange is the Stover property. The Hop River is blue. Permits. We anticipate 3 permits: an Andover Inland Wetlands permit, an Army Corps of Engineers permit, type to be determined, and a flood management certificate issued by the DOT. Anticipated schedule. This project is expected to run for approximately 8 months with a spring of 2024 start date. It is funded 80% with federal funds, 20% with municipal funds, and is expected to cost $2,975,000 with a town cost of $595,000.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis McDonald, and I'm a representative from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Division of Rights-of-Way. I'm just going to provide a brief overview of the right-of-way process. So the function of the Division of Rights-of-Way is to acquire all property and property rights necessary for the project. This is done in accordance with Connecticut General Statute Section 13A73, 13A90AE, and the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. The typical right-of-way impacts include partial acquisitions, easements, and rights. Impacts are subject to change as the design progresses, but this gives a general idea of typical property impacts. Once property impacts have been established, each impacted property owner will receive a letter of intent to acquire along with a property acquisition map. The letter essentially initiates the right-of-way process, and the map provides a detailed overview of the specific right-of-way impacts. Soon after the letter is received, evaluation process will take place, and once a value has been established, each impacted property owner will receive a written offer of compensation. Property owners will be given time to consider the offer and negotiate should they wish. If an agreement is reached, an acceptance document will be signed, and a closing will take place at a later date. If an agreement is not reached for whatever reason, the state will utilize its power of eminent domain and acquire the property rights through the condemnation process. Now, I understand this has a negative connotation, but many times this is done to keep a project on schedule. If the state elects to pursue eminent domain, the original offer is deposited in the court system, and property owners can continue negotiations or file a formal appeal for a reassessment of damages through the court system. Please note all appeals must be filed within 6 months from the date in which the state files for eminent domain. And that is all I have for tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dennis, and that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our technical portion of the presentation. I would like to thank everyone on my design team and everyone behind the scenes who helped put this live event together. We are going to leave the Q&A session information on the screen for your benefit, and we will be answering any questions that came in during the presentation and answer any questions that will come in during this live Q&A session. Once again, we would like to remind everyone to please visit the project webpage to participate in the survey pertaining to tonight's event or ask additional questions or view project plans and information. For those of you listening on the phone, the project webpage link is again portal.ct.gov/DOT Andover 1-106. So with that, we are now going to start the live question and answer session. We will take as many questions as we can. Feel free to use that chat feature or call in by phone. The phone number is again 860-944-1111, or by email. The address is again dot.flbp@ct.gov. And the comment period is open until April 26, 2022.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are live now. It looks like we have a couple of questions that came in, and I'm going to start by reading the first question. The first question is, where will the contractor place his equipment? And can I have Chris from Close Jensen and Miller please address this question?
This is Chris. Since the roadway will be close to traffic, we anticipate the contractor will use the western approach as his primary staging area, as it is the closest to Route 6, and the eastern approach for minor work items and one possible crane pad.
Okay, thank you, Chris. I'm going to read the next question. Will there be advance warning of the road closure? And Chris, can you please address this question as well?
Yes, of course. There will be advanced warning. There will be all the appropriate signage will be set up in advance, and yes, there will be advance notice. There'll be plenty of advance notice and signage.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Next question. Will mail delivery be impacted, and how will EMS be coordinated? Can I have Eric Anderson, the town administrator, please take this question? Is Eric on mute?
Oh, that's okay, Pretty. This is Chris again.
Okay. Yeah.
So mail will not be impacted.
Okay.
We're not closing any driveways. Oh, Eric's back.
Chris,
Okay,
yeah,
hold on.
he's back.
Sorry about that. So this is Eric Anderson. So as far as emergency services go, obviously this limits access to Andover's fire department and the direct route. So what has happened is during the period when the road is closed, if there's a call for an ambulance, the dispatch center dispatches both the Andover and Coventry ambulance. So whichever one of them can get there first, starts the initial work on the call. And the same thing if it's a call for a fire. Fortunately, there is a dry hydrant right there at the river. So there is good access to water, in all seasons for firefighting on that road. Mail delivery, should not be affected. It will be slightly longer for them to deliver, but that's well within what the Postal Service can handle.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Eric. Next question. When is construction anticipated to start, and how long will construction take? Chris?
Yep, this is Chris. We expect the work to begin spring of 2024, and it will take approximately 6 to 8 months to complete.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Has the town funded their share for the construction costs? Eric from the town, can you please address this question?
Sure, this is Eric. So the town has put money aside in the last two fiscal budgets for this repair. At this point, we have around $278,000 dedicated to the project that we already have. In the budget for the upcoming fiscal year, which is 2022-23, we are asking for another $120,000, which will get us to about the $400K mark. And then we will have one more full fiscal year and then part of a fiscal year to pay off the rest of the bridge. So given the current levels of funding, we should be okay for paying for this project.
Okay, thank you, Eric. I think we're still waiting to see if we get more questions in. So let's just give it another minute or so. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please don't hesitate to call in with questions. The phone number is again 860-944-1111, or email us. The address is dot-flbp@ct.gov. Okay, looks like a few more questions came in. All right, and I'm going to start reading one of them. Can stage construction be used instead? Chris from CJM.
Certainly. Stage construction is not practical at this site due to the proposed structure type. In order to keep traffic moving through the area while the new structure is being built would require a temporary bridge, and this would ultimately increase the cost of the overall project, increase the environmental impacts, and would ultimately take 2 construction seasons to complete, possibly even more. And added to that is this part of the river has a couple of snakes in it, if you want to call it that, big curves. And so putting a temporary bridge on either side would have that additional hurdle to deal with.
Okay, thank you, Chris. We have another question. What color will the bridge rail be? Chris, want to take this one?
Absolutely. We would anticipate coloring it in a natural color to blend with the surroundings of the bridge as it is now.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Okay, we don't have any more questions, so we'll just give it another minute. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to ask. So while we're waiting for questions, I would like to remind you again that this whole presentation, including the Q&A session, will be recorded and will be posted to YouTube following the event. The recording will also be made available on the list of virtual public informational meetings on the link shown on the project webpage. Okay, it looks like we're no longer receiving any more questions for this evening, so I'm going to take this opportunity to start wrapping it up. Before we do, I would like to encourage you to take the survey on the link that's shown on the chat box. And for those of you watching on YouTube, the survey is below the video. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the department and the town of Andover, I would like to thank you for joining us tonight. And we hope that you found this meeting and presentation to be informative and that we were able to answer all of your questions. All of us on the design team and the town of Andover are always available to answer any questions, even outside of the comment period. We are also available to meet with you individually on the project site if you so desire. Thank you once again and have a wonderful evening.